Here's our stuff. Here we've got our netting, but you will notice the nodes aren't standard. They are prepared to create an arc for each level of our stylized spiderweb netting. To create the spiderweb effect, I attach additional cordage starting with a tuck and secure knot. Notice how these nodes are positioned to create an arc effect for each level of the netting. The desired effect is to go along each of these nodes in turn to create an arc, and each level of the arc will form the spiderweb netting. That's the idea anyway. So as said before, to create the spiderweb effect, I attach additional cordage starting with a tuck and secure knot, securing the smaller loose end here into the openly tucked loop around that bit there. So we curve it over and then through that loop in, and then just pull and secure tightly. Once it's secured, tightened as shown, we go along the arc, following each node as we do. We might encounter gaps along the way. Do your best to go over those gaps and keep tension, but I've found a different way to do this, and I will explain this later on how to go about doing that. It's a very simple fix, but yeah. Just carry on going round and securing until you've got this. You just carry along in a spiral weaving pattern until you've got pretty much what you see here for each level of the spiderweb netting. Do your best to keep tension whilst filling in those gaps to create the arc shape. I know it's a bit of a pig, and as said before, there is an easier way to do this. But for now, just look at the result that we've got here. The finished result looks fairly professional, if a little disorganized, so I'm definitely going to use a new method to get precise definition of this spiderweb arc shaping. So what will I do next time? What I think I will do next time is, instead of this basic technique, I'm going to use a sewing needle to pierce through each node, creating a pre-tensioned line of an arc for each level of the spiderweb to then splice layers of cordage atop of. Oh, God, that was a mouthful. Okay, see you next time for more Max Temps. Hello and welcome to Max Attempts, a spiderweb net design attempt 2. And here we have our netting. This is the second version. You'll see it's non-traditional node arrangement. The intention of that is to create a spiderweb effect. So we got the initial design shape that we want to do. I'll be plotting it out as I go, as you see here. But making a lot of planning mistakes, because it's tricky making this stuff, like trying to work out the arc trajectory, as it were. I don't know, that sciencey word is beyond my pay grade, but you get the idea. I'm not even being paid for this, so I don't know why I'm saying pay grade, but you get the idea. So you can see I'm trying to create an arc shape for each rung. That's the long and the short of it. So I flipped it over to get a better view, and it works better if you just flip it over so the arc rungs are pointing towards you rather than away. So I found this strategy a bit better to work out how to plot the arcs out, and it works a lot better. So enough watching me fumble around. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. First, we have our thread. That's very important. And we have our needle, very important as well. And what are we going to do with that? We're going to pierce it through every node. But first of all, we need to make a stopper knot at the end of our long thread. Once we've created a little bauble at the end of our thread, we can feed through our thread with our needle to the first piece of our netting that will be the starting point, the anchoring point, for our first arc. And you see, I've made it there. It's gone through every single individual node in sequence, creating a lovely arc. And that is the first rung of our spiderweb net. And then we just carry on going down the furthest end till we reach the furthest end. And then you see that's the result. We've got a rung on every section. Then splice thicker cordage on top as seen here. Looks a bit messy here, but I reckon if you hooked it up on the perimeters of it, you'd get the right tension for each rung, because each rung here is a bit sort of loose. But if you hooked up to something on the sides, I think it would look right. But you can see it more clearly like that. In hindsight, some fishing line or some see-through nylon thread would be much better to get the spiderweb effect. But, you know, hey-ho. This has been Max Attempts, a spiderweb net attempt 2. All in all, I'd say a pretty successful attempt. See you next time for more Max Attempts.